Welcome to episode 7 of Kerbal Space Program. This is a career, and we've been doing everything from tourism to figuring out how to get science to just about everything. And we're going to continue that. Another tradition that we're going to go ahead and continue is, well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick orbit Kerbin. And we're going to keep up another tradition. We've only used solid rocket boosters because that was just a cheap way to do it. We've never had liquid fuel and an oxidizer on any of these missions. So because we're going to be orbiting Kerbin for the first time, we're going to keep that fine tradition up and see if we can do this silliness. I have no idea if this is going to work or not, and this may be 16 failed attempts. This may work on the first try. I don't know. So we're going to go ahead and, give it a... I'm not going to be ridiculous about it. We're going to go ahead and give it 3 solar panels. 3 solar panels. What's going on here? All right, 3 solar panels, and we will give it an antenna because it deserves an antenna. Well, we're only going to give it 2 of those. The only reason we're going to give it 2 is to kind of equalize the weight. I don't think that's going to be even necessary, but we're going to do it anyways. We're going to give it a little bit of hopeful aerodynamics, and that's going to be our payload. That's what we're putting into orbit as a little tiny ComSat. It will do nothing because these are really one-way. They aren't. I don't think those relay. So really this is pointless other than to do an orbit mission. And we have the aesthetics of actually having radios and stuff on it. So let's go ahead and build. We're going to need a decoupler. We're going to need the right size decoupler. And what I am hoping is to slightly overbuild this just in case we get close to making this work. So the idea is to basically do what we were doing before with that heavier craft. And when we get it up into space, we're going to fire these off at hopefully strategic locations that will actually allow us to get into orbit and then stay there. So let's hope. We're going to need more rockets. We're going to need that more rockets, and we're going to go ahead and grab this. All right. That, however, is not what we want. We want that, followed by that. All right. This is going to be too heavy to do this properly, so we're going to add a couple smaller booster rockets that will help get this thing started, and then also it'll help not only help get it started, but after they run out of the solid fuel, the center one will still be able to keep burning, but it'll be a lot lighter because it will have already burned quite a bit of its fuel as well. So we'll still have a decent amount of thrust. As you can see here, the thrust to weight is going to be 1.79. At the end, it's going to be 2.29. This starts at, when that stage is, this will be 1.64, which is less than, but still pretty decent. And it'll end up being 2.44. So that's a pretty decent amount of thrust to weight that we have going there. These will be going through the lower atmosphere, and we do need fins. So on the bottom here, I'm going to do 6 the hard way, and by that, it's not the normal 6 configuration, because I obviously can't put them where those are. And then at the top here, we're going to use the ones that They're a little more expensive, but we can steer with it. And up here is where the steering is going to do really a lot of good, because the farther back here you try to steer it, it's the only messy part about this is that I wish I could do something to stabilize that connection a little bit. Maybe I could with some struts. Maybe, whatever. We'll see if that works. All right. So hopefully this is going to get us up into space, hopefully with some horizontal speed, and then we'll supplement that horizontal speed at key points with these two boosters. Here's hoping anyways. All right, let's try this thing. Yeah, I think I have that staged right. We'll find out. Doing this with booster rocket, the solid rocket boosters were at least getting by cheap if this doesn't work. So here we go. Oh, this didn't happen. See, I knew I didn't stage it right. There we go. I want this slightly this direction if it'll let me bend it. Just a little. Lose those two. This other one burns. We don't have quite. Oh! No. You were better the other way. Come on. A little more. I would really like it if this would come down a little bit more to the 45-degree angle. We might be able to pull that off a lot better now with the smaller rocket. There's a couple of things I'm trying to achieve. One is we're going to keep this horizontal speed. We're not going to keep the vertical speed. So the faster we can go, also it's easier to go sideways than it is to go up and down because we're not fighting gravity sideways. So we just want that speed. We want the rocket to basically just get to the curvature of the Earth and miss it, basically. I mean, that's basically what orbit is, right? So we're pretty high up with this. I am going to go ahead and drop that. And we probably have a decent apoapsis. Yeah, it's pretty high. So what we're going to do so we know when to burn is we're going to put a maneuver in here. And it doesn't really matter. We just generally need to know where to burn and where to aim. With the solid rocket boosters, you don't really have... You either burn it or you... Well, yeah, you burn it or not. And once you start it, you can't stop it. So you're getting 100% of whatever this booster does. And so we're going to probably have a really strange orbit. And so the only purpose of making this burn at all, or to plan this burn at all like I just did, isn't to need apoapsis and periapsis. It's just to have a general notion of when I need to push the spacebar to fire the next stage. We are in space, so I am going to go ahead and we'll go to the next. A little prettier this way, I guess. There you go. And we're going to go ahead and fast forward this just a smidge so I can get this thing fired and see if this is going to work. I don't want to just waste a couple of minutes on a potential failure. And we need to fire it a long time ago, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect, and we'll do this to see exactly how good the burn is. All right, that wasn't enough. Where is it? There it is. So we're going to go ahead and fire that. We're going to fire this. This should be enough. And that is enough. So we have achieved... We just sent that off into space, but that's all right. Not before. Boy, talk about a weak antenna. Anyways, not before we achieved our goal. It's too bad we didn't put the Terrier engine on that thing. We could have actually got science out of it. But oh well, that's funny. It was not what I expected. That was beyond what I expected. So we met that goal in the most incredibly idiotic way that we could have probably met that goal. Let's go back to the space station. It's on a piece of hardware that's going to be barely visible by anything unless something happens to be close to it that we launch in the future. And that'll probably be nothing. What do we have over here in the wonderful world of options now? There's some of these I'd really like to be able to do some easy science because I really want to go back to orbit, but not with 100,000 rocket parts. I would rather get a little bit more science and push it up. We are so close. So that's not what I meant to do. That's funny. I can't believe that worked. Oh, I can't believe that worked and failed. We could certainly do some of these, but that's not going to get us science. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward a couple of days. And let's see what we have. In flight, splashdown. We'll do one of those. That's fine. And here are the nice ones. So we will eventually start collecting these. What's nice is this particular line here is what you have to pay attention to. Stranded in low Kerbin orbit. It has to say low Kerbin orbit. If it doesn't say low Kerbin orbit, you run away. You run away as fast as you can. You want in low Kerbin orbit. If nothing else, this little piece of advice is worth a like of the video and a subscribe to the channel. Low Kerbin orbit. All right, we're going to go ahead and collect that because we do want to do this eventually. But we really, really want more sciencey things to do. Let's go ahead and burn this one away that we've got to test something splash down. I wish there was more than one, but there isn't, and that's how the ball bounces. So we're going to grab that, and what are we testing in splashdown? Testing a heat shield. Are we testing a big heat shield or a tiny heat shield? Probably a tiny one. Where's heat? There it is. No, it's a giant one. Yeah, that looks legitimate. And we will go ahead and that ought to do it. I mean, right. Yeah, that ought to do it. So let's go ahead and launch this, and let's hope for the best. And launch this. There we go. Worried about the aerodynamics of this not making it to the ocean, but I think we're fine. Yeah, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. All right, he's coming down. I'm going to go ahead and drop the parachutes down. Yeah, that wasn't too bad of a fling around. It wasn't the 10 to 15 G that we've been putting Jebediah through as of late. I'll go ahead and fast forward this. And there we go. And we will go ahead and recover that vessel. I forgot to... We're going to do that again because I'm an idiot because I forgot to test the stupid heat shield. All right, well, that didn't really cost us anything. Except for time. That's hilarious. All right, well, we'll do this again, and I will try not to be so absent-minded. That's hilarious. I just cannot believe I did that. At least we know it'll make it. Watch it crash. No, we're fine. Alright, we'll fast forward. And this time we will really actually test this thing. We'll even call up the menu, and as soon as that thing is splashed, we'll run this test. And we have actually done what we were supposed to do. Kind of like when you go into another room and forget what you're doing. It's really bad when that other room is like in a house you don't own. But let's see, what do we have? Anything good? Another one, rescue from low Kerbin orbit. I'm okay with this. I'm a little nervous about taking too many of these things until... Well, we're at 45 here. Let's see if we got enough to... Yeah, that's going to be kind of useful to have. I don't know if we need all of that, but I really like having that fuel tank. So, let's get that. Now, I just want to play with the idea of what it would be like getting into orbit legitimately for this rescue mission. We're only going to do one right away. I'm going to put that on the top because we need something to drive the ship when nobody's in the capsule, and we need the capsule to rescue somebody. So we could put one of those things that we've been using for the tourists, one of those crew compartments, but it's just too hard to get in and out of because of the way this is constructed. So I'm just going to do it this way. Have a heat shield. We will have the coupler. That should be enough. But I'm going to add 2 drogues just in case this thing comes down stupidly. It shouldn't. But it'll make me feel better. Alright, so we need to... This is overkill. That's really way too much. I'm going to put that on it. And I really wish we had something better than that. Well, that'll fit. Alright. That gives us a lot of delta V. And it's not gonna... Well, thrust away too, actually. You know, it's been a while. I'm gonna play the safe side. This is overkill. Not that. That would really be overkill. And there'd be a lot of kills. That's really a lot of... That's way too much. So we're going to bring that along just because, like I said, I haven't played this in long enough. I just want to make sure that I'm not out of my mind. We're going to go ahead and... We're going to go ahead and use liquid fry. This is just sensible. At least is the main part of this. And we will go ahead and we just mostly need thrust on this one, I recollect. So that will go into that engine. And so that should honestly be enough to do everything that we need to do. Should. Alright. So we're definitely going to need some of these. And I tell you, there is just part of me that just doesn't trust this, and I don't know why. I guess we'll find out. Oh, one thing we have to make sure is that there are no... Yeah, we need to take Jeb out. And we need to launch. Now we had to take Jebediah out because, again, we need the crew space for the person we're going to rescue. And this ought to be enough. It just feels wrong. I don't know why. So here we go. Launch. Oops. Forgot to tell it to have some throttle. I'm going to kind of move this ever so gently this way. I don't want to go too far just yet. We need to be heading up a lot more than heading sideways. But this whole thing is supposed to be one giant gravity turn. And we're about where we need to be. I'm going to actually slow it down a little bit. We're kind of going fast. And I just want this thing to fall over, and I'm having a really hard time not overdoing it. I don't know why. Some of the engines have swivel on them. This one does not. We really should be below 45 by now, and we're not. But that's okay. We're not doing badly. What concerns me is I don't know if we're going to be going fast enough to coast as far as we need to coast before we turn on the next engine. And I don't think we're coasting. So what we need to do now is look at where the apoapsis is. And that's not too bad. That is not too bad. We need that's 75. That's about where we need to be. So that's going well. We're going to keep turning this over a little more. Because we need everything going sideways now. Now this has to be above. Well, this has to be 70. And when it hits that, we'll be in orbit, or we'll be able to get into orbit, and like I said, then we'll be able to begin the rescue. And we're slowly getting there, but we are building up a lot of speed, and that orbital speed, and we're doing it in a decent way, so that's good. I want that to be 75-ish. It's coming down, so we're probably going to be closer to 74-ish, but all right. So we have to add a maneuver here. This one we're going to actually have to pay attention to. And we want to make it roughly equal to that other, just roughly equal to the other one's orbit. And I'm a little concerned here because we don't have the burn time. See, it's red. We do not have enough to get into orbit. So, unfortunately, this one is a bust. This one is a bust. What we're going to do is turn around, kill this burn, and we're just going to drop her back down and land her. Which is a shame, but we did something incredibly stupid in the last mission, and we just kind of just didn't pull it off on this one. I'm glad I put on those drogues. I bet this thing's gonna be. We're really. Too bad I don't have crew on this. I could have tried to like land it over here and see if we'd have gotten different science. And we're gonna go ahead and That's crazy. These must be the drogue. The drogues. We'll put those down here. It says we can open them, but that would be just silly. They would just burn up. Because this thing has a long way to fall through a lot thicker of oxygen. So that's all of these are going to turn red before too long. Sorry, I have this fast forwarding and I'm hitting these keys and it's really overblowing it a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and, there we go, adjust it and then we'll speed it up again. All right, we can put the drogues out. I'm just going to go ahead and speed it up again because I'm not going to put the main chute out until we're under 3,000 feet in all likelihood. Probably not until the drogue chute's open. In fact, that main chute won't open. So, there we go. So, we'll let it go a little bit longer and get the main one out. We could probably cut these and we'd be fine, but there's no reason to. All right, we are going in fast forward to end a failure. That was a little more expensive of a failure too, unfortunately. But we can do a few things to make this a little better. Come on. And it'll be in the water here momentarily. And there we go. Slow it down just for the splashdown. Cover the vessel. Cover the vessel. It wasn't a total loss, but it was a big loss. I mean, we lost engines and stuff like that. So that really cut into our dollars that we have been building up. But, I mean, not so badly that we can't try it again. We just need to do better. So we will go ahead and pop one more tank on the bottom there. And that cuts down a little bit on our thrust to weight. And so I'm going to do two things. I'm going to move these to be like that. And I'm going to put two solid rocket boosters to help get this thing going. It'll probably get it going too fast and then we're going to have too much fuel, but that's okay. I'd rather have too much fuel than what we ended up with last time. So that's a little weird. Hopefully that balances when we get out there. Let's try it. I need to fix the staging on this before I forget. I know this is messed up. Or I know it's going to be messed up. It always is. Yep. And let's move that down to there. Okay. It didn't fall over. That's a good sign. This time we'll remember to put the fuel up all the way, and away we go. Trying to bend it just a little bit. Damn it. It's like all or nothing. It's weird. That's okay. We're on the path that I want us to be on, at least currently, although I want us to get further down quickly. Okay, we're going really fast, and that's why it's partly hard to turn, but it looks like I'm finally dragging this thing down. Alright, so if we look at this, we can see we've got a nice arc going. Still need to pull it down. Pull it down. And at this point, the only thing that's holding us towards that is the wind itself. I mean, that's just the best we can turn. So again, we're going to try to get this to that 75 mark or 74-ish. There we go. That's a lot better than we had before. We still have fuel in this tank to get us into orbit, which is going to give us ridiculous amounts of fuel to maneuver. Which may be good, because, again, it's been a while since I played the game, and some of this rust shows. We're going to do that. We're going to come over to here. We don't have enough burn time in this engine, but we certainly have enough burn time in the other. We better. Yeah. So we're going to do part of this burn with a much more powerful engine. And we need to start it now. We're still in the upper atmosphere, but we're close enough to space that this is almost burning the same thing. So actually, I'm going to stop this burn. Because I burned way earlier than I thought I needed to. I didn't think this was going to... I think this may have a higher thrust-to-weight ratio just because it's... because it's just so much smaller than the last one. I'm just going to do this. I don't know what's going on. It's very odd. Something is amiss the way that I'm burning, and I don't really know why, but oh gosh, I don't know what's going on. Stop. We have plenty of fuel and plenty of height right now to deal with this, but it's just weird. Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to have a 4-second burn in 2 minutes. Much less than that when I accelerate time. We're roughly aimed the right direction. And there we go. All right. We are in generally the same orbit as this craft, which we are now going to set as a target. And this part gets to be insane. So we want to like pop these close together. And the way you do that, if I remember, I usually tried to get between them, I think, and then check to see what a burn would do. So let's... So these are like not doing much that way. And I don't want to do that because that's going to take us out of orbit. So let me remember how to do this. It's funny. Okay, so if I burn long enough, that's what I need to do, because I need to catch up to this thing, and this is going to be a huge... This is a little silly. I could save a lot of energy and do this on... it's still a pretty big separation. Whoops. That's good enough. We'll work with that. This is kind of silly the way I'm doing this. You know, normally you would burn a little bit and let it catch up over several orbits, but you know, we've got plenty of burn and we're only rescuing one. So let's go ahead and fast forward this 18 minutes to that burn location. I still don't remember how I just did that, which is kind of sad. I mean, I know how I did it, but I know I didn't do it right. That's part of me that's been screwing me up. I've been looking at that other stupid ship and thinking it was me, so that's part of my problem. Alright, speeding this up just a little bit. A little bit faster than normal time. I want to get that down to about 9. And fire. Come on. First, you're not in the right place and you're not firing. said, this is a little bit silly and a little bit overkill anyways, the way we're doing this. Alright, that's good enough spread. Alright. So that's legitimately really about where we're at. The separation is 2.9. Oh, that's not. That's legitimately where we're at. Separation is 10. What happens if we burn a little bit more? A little bit more? A little bit more? Alright. This burn is happening way too fast, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut the thrust down on the engine to 20%. In fact, we're going to cut it down to about 10% because I just want to be able to control it. And obviously, that was too much. Okay, that's about as good as we're going to get until we get close. And what we're going to do is we're going to warp to there. So what's happening is we're doing that to catch up to that craft. That's why we went all the way around there. Now, I have to... Man, it has been a long time since I have messed with this. We're going to have to spot that craft, which we don't yet. And, we just need to wait to get closer to the whole thing. One thing I'd like to do is slow down my orbit. Because I'm going to be coming after him pretty lickety-split now, so... So, it's going to change the relative speed that I am approaching that craft, and I'm hoping... I mean, one thing I can do is throttle that up a little bit again. But I do want to get that speed reduced. Man. And then we'll realign that. Because we're really close, right? All I need to do now is go back to the target, and what I'd like to do is push this. And by doing that, by going just a little bit like that, stop. It may have been overkill. No, we're about close. Where it was a little overkill. So what we're trying to do is point ourselves and pull ourselves so we're aiming towards the target. And what's nice about this... Now let's see how far away we are. We're going to be really close. So the next thing I need to do then is flip around this way. And we're going to go ahead and burn some of that off, some of that speed off. Now we're aiming directly towards this thing. Well, it'll be down here someplace. I don't know why we don't see it yet. Well, we may not see it yet because it's still probably pretty far away. We're approaching it. Is that it? That must be it. So what we need to do is we're just going to keep slowing down. And I think... Yeah, we're not going fast enough now. We need to aim it this direction and figure out where in the world we are. Bring this to here. And we really don't want to be going that fast. So we're now. This is killing me. Okay, I forgot how to do this. Alright. Okay, so we need this to be like this. That's a much better approach speed. I don't know how far away we are. There we are. So I'm going to flip this around. We don't want to be going too fast into this. I do like that approach speed though. That's nice. And burn that just a little bit so we're still aiming towards it. Not bad, not bad. We are approaching it. I mean, we're going to be right on top of it here. So we are getting there. Still aiming at it, still approaching it. It's a little slow of an approach. I'm going to speed this up just a tad bit and then not much. I don't want to get it too much. Okay. Alright, after a little bit of a problem with my rendezvous, we're finally there. And a little more juice. Alright, we are going to switch over to this craft. We are going to rename this vessel into Debris because otherwise it'll just float around. We're going to take our pilot here on an EVA. She's going to let go, and let's hope I remember how to do this. F to grab. In you go. Sweet. This is what we wanted. All right, now we need to get into orbit mode and find where our... There we go. Want to burn retrograde. We should have plenty of fuel to get us back down into Kerbin. Here we go. We'll watch our orbit decay. Well, not decay, but periapsis is well into the atmosphere, so that's good enough. We will go ahead and drop this while we can. I'm going to drop this at a slightly weird angle. And then come back to here because... Alright, we're going to fast forward this. We will eventually... There we are in the atmosphere. And... I keep getting desktop alerts that keep pulling me out of this screen. I hope you're not seeing them. I guess I'll find out when I edit the video. I'm going to speed this up again. Again, we have a long way to go. We're going fast, but a lot of that is this lateral speed. You can see right there, there's the engine that we dropped off. We may see it explode in the atmosphere. That would be kind of cool. And it may just zip past us out of view. And that's what looks like it's going to happen. That's too bad. I should probably try really hard to keep up with that. Yeah, I do not see it anymore. All right, that little spin around that it just did, that tells us that we are no longer in orbit. So we are definitely coming down now. I mean, we already kind of knew that, but I mean, what's happened is the apoapsis on the other side has been pulled into the atmosphere and is now lower on that side than it is where we are. If that made any sense. Oops, nope, nope, nope. Forgot it was an high speed. Just stay there. I mean, all of that speed is lateral. And that, let's go ahead and slow that to 1 so I can kind of be nice and make that on target. Yeah, we're getting our money's worth out of that heat shield. Everything. I mean, this is almost solid. I mean, look at that. We're just going practically straight. And that's, that can be a problem. What's nice is if you do this, you're burning off a lot of energy in a way that it's easy to burn off the energy. And it gives you time to deploy your normal parachutes. I mean, I have the drogues set up here, but I really don't need them. May as well stage them correctly, however. But I probably won't need them just because of the way we're coming in like this. This is a pretty quick descent. Anyway, I'm going to align this and then I'm going to speed it up again. But that's insane. I mean, all right, we can put the drogues out. Again, the drogues just slow it down enough that the other parachutes can be used, but this one could be used now, so they were pretty unnecessary. I had the stability assist keeping the thing at an angle. No real point in doing that. Let the drogues open again. That's about as slow as it's going to go, so we'll do the main shoot. That provides some drag, but it really doesn't much in comparison to what those drogues did. I mean, now maybe if those drogues weren't there, it would slow it down more noticeably. And it's just the time-accelerated fall to the ocean. And we have ourselves a new pilot, L-Top. So she's going to actually gain a star from this because she's been in orbit. All right, we are down. We're going to recover the vessel. And we not only completed a mission, we have a new astronaut in our astronaut complex, which we will go visit here in a second. There we are. And she did. She advanced to level 1 because she went into orbit. And there she is. So, cool. Now what happens every time they get a star, it goes back to 0, so that's why Jebediah has what looks to be more experience than she does, but he really doesn't. So that's nice. We didn't make any science off of that. And we have some more rescue missions that we can certainly do. And low Kerbin orbit. Low Kerbin orbit. And unfortunately, I'm not seeing any other ones because I haven't been down the list yet, but really like it when it's like landed at Kerbin or splashed down or at the launch pad. Yeah, we don't have any of those. So, all right. Well, I think episode 7 has been a success with some minor failures in between, but I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please click like and please click subscribe. tell your friends, tell your enemies. I don't care. Tell people. I'd love to see this channel grow. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later. Be safe.